Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 38th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West. This guy, Jacob West, here for another episode of TMG Takes the Field. I missed last week. I had a very busy week. I'm sorry. It happens. Labor Day weekend. So I was out of town Monday. I did stuff Tuesday and Wednesday. It happens. But I'm here for this week, for today, to talk about a lot of stuff. A good sizable amount of stuff. Of course, we're going to start it off with the NBA. That's right. We're not really doing breaking news because we're talking about every sport now because that's what I said. We're going to go and start off with the NBA. Not a lot because it is the NBA offseason at the moment. The season will be starting relatively soon. Preseason should be starting here in like the next month, I believe. We have had a couple things happen that I want to talk about. The first one is the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are in overhaul mode, in rebuild mode. They got rid of Rudy Gobert. I believe it was the beginning of this offseason. They either traded him or didn't re-sign him. I don't remember exactly what it is. Well, they have made another move. Donovan Mitchell, their star point guard, is no longer a member of the Utah Jazz. This happened September 3rd. Donovan Mitchell got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Heading to Utah is three players: Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and Okai Agbaji. I don't know who that is. I do know Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. And then also a good amount of draft picks. You have the 2025 first-round pick, the 2026 pick swap, 2027 first-round pick, 2029 first-round pick, so 3 first-round picks, and then 2 pick swaps. So Cleveland's definitely getting a very good player. Donovan Mitchell had a great rookie year. There was a lot of talks about him being the rookie of the year. That didn't happen because it went to Mr. I'm not going to play, Ben Simmons. Should it have gone to him? Absolutely not. It should have gone to Donovan Mitchell. But hey, I'm not an NBA voter. So it's definitely a little concerning as far as what is going on in Utah because him and Rudy were their 2 key pillars to that team. Most every successful team has 2 players. And Donovan was definitely one of the 2 up there. Utah has been a playoff fixture for a while now. Believe this year they were 5th seed, losing to the Mavericks in the first round. So definitely a pretty big loss for Utah. And draft picks are one of those weird things too. In the NFL, you can build your draft. I mean, everyone says Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick. You have 4th, 5th round guys usually make the team, usually become stars. NBA is a little bit different. NBA, you have 3, 4 players who are superstars going into the draft, and then you have like 2 or 3 players who become phenomenal throughout. Nikola Jokic, center for the Denver Nuggets. He was one of the last people drafted, very late 2nd-round draft pick. He's become a star. But it doesn't happen a lot just because NBA is at that weird pace, so you don't get used to it playing college. And so it's a little weird getting rid of one of your star players for 3 draft picks and then 2 swaps because draft isn't always a good way to build your team. That you don't have necessarily the tanking going on like you do in the NFL. But you can get great players out of the draft. You can trade those players for even better players. And hey, if you have a good young core on your team, you might be able to get free agents. So we'll see how this plays out for Utah, but definitely right now the winner of that is Cleveland. As far as other news going, and this is going to be NBA, WNBA both. Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver, I believe he also owns the Phoenix Mercury, the WNBA team, is fined $10 million and suspended at least 1 year after investigation finds conduct clearly violating workplace standards. This just came out today. I don't know anything about that situation. I just know that he got fined and suspended. So definitely interesting to see what happens with Phoenix coming up. Is this going to be I cannot remember the guy's name, but the LA Clippers had an owner. I believe Ballmer. Either that or Ballmer was the guy who bought the team afterwards. But complete horrible person. Ended up kicking him out of the league. Made him sell his franchise. Is that what's going to happen here? I hope not. But you never know. We'll definitely see here in the future. Again, this just came out today, so there's no telling what's going to happen in the near future with that. But that's it for NBA. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to Major League Baseball. We are still in the middle of the season. We're coming towards the end. As this is middle of September, usually it's like very beginning of October, season ends, and then we get into the playoffs. So here pretty soon, probably next week, I'll do a full playoff prediction because, yes, I wait until the very end. I also believe I have predicted before the season started or right when the season was starting, I think I predicted. So we'll see how everything lines up there. If I did, I would have written them down if I did, but I do not remember off the top of my head. But we'll kind of do exactly what we've been doing, kind of go over the standings. Starting off with the American League in the East, New York still is in the lead. They've definitely picked up from that slump. They have started actually winning games. Aaron Judge is on fire. Career high home runs so far, I believe, is at 57, 58. So they have definitely been able to get runs, get an offense going, which is great for me because I'm a Yankee fan. They are currently first in the American League, or in the AL East, not in the American League. They are second at the moment. But they have a 85-56 record. 5.5 games behind them is the Tampa Bay Rays. And then a half a game behind the Rays, the Toronto Blue Jays. Baltimore and Boston are pretty much out without officially being out. Baltimore at 11.5, Boston at 16 games back. In the Central, little bit closer of a race. We have Cleveland in the lead at 75-65. The Chicago White Sox, 3.5 games back. Minnesota Twins, 5.5 game back. And then you have Kansas City, Detroit, 18.5, 21.5. Pretty much out without officially being out. And then in the West, Houston currently in the lead with the best record in the American League at 91-50. They pretty much have won the AL West. Seattle is in second at 11.5 games back. Texas at 30. The Angels at 30.5. And officially eliminated from playoff contention, the Oakland Athletics at 51-90. So the way it's looking right now, Houston, of course, has the number one seed. New York and Cleveland having the next two spots, both winning their division. As far as the wild card goes, both Tampa Bay and Seattle have the two wild card spots, both with the same record at 79-61. Right behind Toronto at 79-62, one extra loss there, technically a half a game back. Baltimore still close to that wild card spot at 5.5 back. Chicago at 7, Minnesota at 9. So we have a closer race there, but probably going to be Tampa Bay, Seattle, or Toronto, one of those three, unless something astounding happens, which happens in baseball. As far as the National League goes, right now we have the Mets in the lead of the NL East at 89-53. 1.5 games back is Atlanta at 87-54. So that's a very close race there. Philadelphia, 78-62, probably not going to be able to make a comeback there. Miami, 58-83, 30.5 games back. And then the Washington Nationals, 39.5. They are actually eliminated from playoff contention. In the Central, We have the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals at 83-58. They are in the lead. The Milwaukee Brewers are 8 games back. Chicago Cubs 24, Cincinnati 27, and the Pittsburgh Pirates also eliminated from playoff contention. And then for the West, we have the Dodgers at 97-43. They have clinched a playoff berth. They have the best record in baseball. Have not quite clinched the division yet, but they're pretty close, and I'll tell you why here in a second. They're at 97-43, 20 and a half games back. The San Diego Padres, 29 and a half, the San Francisco Giants. Amazing how last year they were neck and neck with the Dodgers, and so far back now. The Arizona Diamondbacks at 31 games back, and the Colorado Rockies, 36 and a half games back. As far as the wild card goes there, right now Atlanta has it. Atlanta has a really good hold on it. They are 10 games ahead of second place. The Phillies, 78-62, 1.5 above the San Diego Padres, who are right on the outside looking in. Milwaukee, 2 games back. San Francisco, 9. Arizona, 10.5. So we have a little bit tighter of a race there, especially for that second spot. Atlanta probably is going to keep it, but Philadelphia, San Diego, Milwaukee, maybe San Francisco can have an amazing comeback. I don't know. We're not quite there yet, but that is definitely going to be an exciting race. Again, probably next week I'll go over my predictions on who actually gets it all, and we'll kind of go from there. But now we're going to talk about the NCAA football. We are in week 2. I'm sorry I was not able to do a technical opening of the season or after my reactions. So I'll kind of clump it all together. It's been a really interesting 2 weeks of football. There have been some upsets. There have been some crazy upsets. There have been some really close games that should not have been close. But then there have also been those teams that didn't surprise anybody. One team that did surprise me, the Georgia Bulldogs. They are currently the number 1 overall seed. They are 2-0. Of course, this last Saturday they beat Samford 33-0. Everyone was expecting that. Maybe we were expecting them to score a lot more than 33 points. I was expecting a lot more than 33 points, but we were expecting a blowout. I'll be honest, what I was not expecting was them to walk all over Oregon. They mopped the floor with the Ducks. And then I realized they have Oregon has Bo Nix as their starting quarterback. And I have started betting against Oregon because not a big fan of Bo Nix because he's an awful quarterback. But as soon as I realized Bo Nix was a member of the Oregon Ducks, I'm like, yep, Georgia's going to win this game. Really wasn't expecting it to be that bad, though. Again, you lose every single defensive starter. You don't have a great defense the next year. They did. Stetson Bennett has also been playing phenomenal, too. I kind of thought he graduated. He didn't graduate. So Georgia is at the number 1 overall seed. Alabama at 2 with a very exciting game against Texas. It might have been pretty boring. I didn't really watch. I followed a little bit. Very close. A lot closer than it should have been. And, of course, I'm from Texas. Not a big UT fan, but I have a lot of friends who are. Everyone said that was a win for Texas. Fun fact, you lost. That is not a win for Texas. I understand what you're saying. Number 3, we have Ohio State beating Notre Dame in week 1. Very interesting game. Very close. Notre Dame was winning for a good part of that, but Ohio State was able to come up with the win. They just played someone this week. It was a nobody team. I don't remember exactly who it was, but they did come out with a win. Michigan at number 4 there, also 2-0. They just beat Hawaii, and I believe it was Central Michigan is who they beat week 1. Number 5, we have Clemson at 2-0. I want to say Clemson had a interesting game week 1, but then a cakewalk with Furman that they didn't actually walk with the cake. Amazing. Number 6, we have OU at 2-0. USC is at number 7. Oklahoma State is at 8. The University of Kentucky did something they haven't done in like 70 years, and that was beat Florida 2 years in a row. They're at number 9. Arkansas, very fun game against South Carolina, where they beat Spencer Rattler. They're at number 10. Michigan State at 11. BYU at 12. Very exciting game against Baylor. That was an intense game to watch too. Miami is at number 13. Utah at 14. Didn't let that loss to Florida beat them too far down. Tennessee, very exciting game against Pittsburgh. They're at number 15. NC State is at 16. Baylor, after that loss to BYU, has fallen to 17. Florida at 18. Wake Forest at 19. Ole Miss at 20. Texas moved up from being unranked. They are now at number 21. Penn State 22. Pittsburgh 23. Texas A&M. We're not going to talk about Texas A&M. No, we are. They lost to Appalachian State. And North Carolina almost lost to Appalachian State. What are y'all doing? Appalachian State's a cupcake team. Why are y'all losing to cupcake teams? And then surprisingly, my surprise is Oregon is ranked 25, even though they got demolished by Georgia and destroyed Eastern Washington. It's Eastern Washington. Come on, guys. Others receiving votes, not quite enough to become ranked. Should be ranked above Oregon, but not quite there. Marshall, after their win against Notre Dame last week. Cincinnati, Appalachian State. Pretty sure that happened when they beat Michigan in 2007. Kansas State, North Carolina, Mississippi State, Oregon State, Florida State, Minnesota, Washington State, Notre Dame, Air Force, Texas Tech, Wisconsin, Iowa State, Auburn, and Purdue. Of course, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, and Houston all dropped from being ranked. But it was a very exciting week 2. We're going to kind of go into week number 3. Again, like I did last year, we kind of break down, not really break down, but say every game in the top 25, kind of give some thoughts. So just going off of the order that they come up on my phone. Number 1, Georgia is traveling to, I believe they play in Columbia, but they are playing the Gamecocks of South Carolina. South Carolina just had that loss against Arkansas. Spencer Rattler is their starting quarterback. They stole him from Oklahoma. Oklahoma doesn't have a starting quarterback. It's sad. Georgia's defense is amazing. A lot better than Arkansas's defense. So imagine that might be a little closer than some people are thinking, but Georgia will more than likely handle that win pretty well. Michigan, another cakewalk. They're playing at home against UConn. Oklahoma is taking on Nebraska. Nebraska just fired their coach, Nick Frost. After 3 horrible seasons, that man finally lost his job. I don't condone people losing their jobs. It's just you don't deserve to be coaching, so I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Next, we have Youngstown State is traveling to Kentucky to take on the Wildcats. Texas State, they play in San Marcos. They are traveling to Waco to take on the Baylor Bears. Ole Miss is going to play Georgia Tech. Penn State is going to play Auburn. UL Monroe is going to play Alabama. Alabama's going to wipe the floor with them. Wake Forest is going to play Liberty. Liberty without whoever their quarterback was. I just blanked on his name. Just got drafted to the Tennessee Titans. So Liberty probably not going to do that well. Ohio State's taking on Toledo. Oklahoma State is going to play Arkansas Pine Bluff. Arkansas is taking on Missouri State. Tennessee is taking on Akron. NC State's going to take on Texas Tech. Michigan State's taking on Washington. Florida is going to play South Florida. Pittsburgh's going to play Western Michigan. Clemson's going to play Louisiana Tech. Texas is going to play University of Texas in San Antonio, UTSA. Utah is going to be playing San Diego State. USC is going to be playing Fresno State. We have a couple games of ranked opponents. The first one It's exciting on paper. I'm not excited about it at all. BYU is going to be traveling to Oregon to play the Ducks. You know my thoughts on the Ducks. BYU has a great defense, and they're playing Bo Nix. Oregon's favored by 3.5 points. I think you know what I'm going to be doing with that game. If you don't know, just message me and I'll tell you. The other one, again, maybe not super excited. Miami is traveling to Texas to play Texas A&M. Miami with 2 really strong wins. Texas A&M with 1 really, really bad loss. So maybe the Aggies can bounce back from that one. But we'll see. That's it for week number 3 in the NCAA football. As far as Heisman candidates go, again, it's only the second week. But I will say, Bryce Young probably isn't repeating. Stetson Bennett is my first overall pick as far as predictions go. Definitely can see him as a front runner. CJ Stroud was in the running last year, did not get it. He will definitely be a favorite this year. And then I also like Florida's quarterback. I can't think of his name right now, but I can definitely pull it up very quickly. Yeah, Anthony Richardson, sophomore quarterback for Florida. I really liked him in week number 1. He didn't have that great of a game against Kentucky. 143 yards, no touchdowns thrown, nothing run either. But definitely watching him against Utah was very exciting. Maybe he'll bounce back. Maybe we'll see. But that is really all I have today for the NCAA football. So we'll go ahead and move on to the NFL. Week number 1 just wrapped up last night. Very exciting game. Also, hi, Jonathan. Thanks for saying hi. NFL week number 1, very exciting. I'll go over the games that happened and go over the games that are about to happen. The Bills, Josh Allen and the Bills, mainly with Stephon Diggs, destroyed the Rams 31-10 Thursday night. Then going to Sunday, the Eagles fly, baby. They beat the Lions 38-35. And before you're like, Jacob, the Lions are the worst team in the NFL, and y'all won by 3. How can you be happy with that? The Lions actually ended the season very well last year. I realized they weren't able to win a lot, but they definitely looked really good. Dan Campbell is an amazing coach. This is his second year. And if Hard Knocks taught us anything, I didn't watch Hard Knocks. But I do like Dan Campbell. DeAndre Swift was crazy, which when you get the ball 50 times, you better rack up some yards. I'm not going to go too in-depth because this is not Inside the Horseshoe where I talk about one team and one team only. I'll talk about everything. But I will just say I was very excited to watch the Eagles win. Wish it was a bigger blowout, but hey, you do what you do, right? Definitely excited to see what this offense can do. And the defense, holy crap, we have a secondary. That hasn't happened in years. I have not been excited about our secondary in a long time. The Saints and Falcons, gonna go ahead and go on to the next game. Very exciting game there. Cordero Patterson, running back, plays everything for the Falcons. Had another amazing game. I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. It's great. Almost beat the Saints, but not quite. The Saints did manage to get a last-second field goal to win the game, 27-26. The Bears beat the 49ers 19-10. Jimmy Garoppolo starts by week 5. Trey Lance, I realized it was a rainy game. Okay, I'll give him that. I've never liked Trey Lance. I've never watched him play in the NFL and been amazed. I'm very surprised that the 49ers love him so much more than Jimmy Garoppolo. I will say, if he does not get traded, because he might get traded to a team that I do not like talking about, if he stays with the 49ers, he starts by week 5. Put money on that. The Steelers shocked me. They beat the Bengals 23-20. TJ Watt did suffer an injury. We're not quite sure what kind of injury it is. Some people feared it was a torn pec to make him out for the season, but he is still hopeful to return back by week 3. Probably not going to make it by week 2, but we'll see. Very exciting game. They sacked Joe Burrow like 8 or 9 times, turned the ball over 5 times. It's funny because before the game, the Bengals social media account said, "What are they even stealing?" And then a Steelers social media rep, retweeted it and said the football. It's kind of funny. They very dominant defense. I've loved the the Steelers defense. For a while, they're a very top-notch defense, and they are one of the main reasons why that the Steelers have not had a losing record in close to 20 years. When Big Ben tore his shoulder in like week 2 or 3, they still finished with like 8-8. They had if not 8-8, they had a winning record because of that defense. The Dolphins beat the Patriots 20-7. The Ravens, in no shock at all, destroyed the Jets 24-9. Henry, you said the Jets looked good. Nothing about that team looked good. Another exciting game, kind of. The Commanders beat the Jags 28-22. The Cleveland Browns traveled to Carolina and just punched Baker Mayfield in the face. They won 26-24. The Colts and the Texans tied 20-20. Hey, like I said, Matt Ryan, washed up quarterback. Not great. I will say he did lead that team back from a 20-3 deficit to tie it up. Carson Wentz wouldn't have had a deficit. I said what I said. Texans did not look like the worst team in football. It was amazing. Jonathan, Mike Tomlin never has a losing season. I learned that the hard way last season. I don't know how you learned that the hard way, but yeah, the man has not had a losing season. He has had very sketchy quarterback play. Big Ben has not been great every time Mike Tomlin has been there. That defense is scary all the time. And they picked up Minka Fitzpatrick a couple years ago. I was like, this team's going to be tough to beat. The Giants came back and beat the Titans 21-20. I was a little sad about that. But hey, Derrick Henry didn't have a rushing touchdown. Like, they didn't give Derrick Henry the ball when he needed it. So the Titans, you lost that. That was your fault. The Vikings destroyed the Packers 23-7. I called this. I bet against it, but I also said watch for the Packers to have a very slow start to the season. Watch the Vikings have a very fast start to the season. Kirk Cousins has not looked like a great quarterback at most times. Sunday, he looked great. Justin Jefferson looked great. Adam Thielen looked like Adam Thielen. Dalvin Cook looked like Dalvin Cook. So this team might surprise people and win the NFC North. You also got to remember Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back NFL MVP, has a pretty different offense this year. Doesn't have any of his starting wide receivers. Like I said, going to be a slow start to the year. So maybe the Vikings aren't as good as we thought. The Packers are just not as good. Now, I will say the Vikings front didn't even rush Aaron Rodgers that much. They just sacked him a lot. He threw, I believe, 2 interceptions, which he hasn't thrown an interception to an NFC North team in a while. Vikings, I was actually kind of surprised how good they were. The Chiefs, to nobody's surprise, had an amazing offensive game where they beat the Cardinals 44-21. The Chargers beat the Raiders in another pretty exciting game, 24-19. And then a very boring game, Sunday Night Football. Why are you so boring? 19-3, the Buccaneers beat the Cowboys. One touchdown scored. That was amazing. Both these offenses were having a lot of issues. I will say this showed how good Tampa Bay and Dallas's defenses are, but we do have to say Dak Prescott is going to be out for a while. They're not sure exactly how long. He is not on injured reserve. The Cowboys did not put him on injured reserve because they're hopeful he only has to miss a couple of weeks, but he tore something in his hand. He's going to have surgery. So even if he comes back soon, it's just like Russell Wilson last year. Probably is not going to be playing at the same caliber he started the season with, at least not for the first couple of weeks he's back. But this team struggled to get any sort of offense together. Whereas Michael Gallup, one of their 2-star receivers, was out due to injury. CeeDee Lamb wasn't given the ball much. But Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott did have some pretty okay games, which when your starting quarterback goes out and you're a running back, you're loving it because you're getting the ball a lot more. And then Jonathan, I do know A-Rod has a huge cult of personality, if you know what I mean. Jonathan, I do know what you mean. If you do not know what me or Jonathan mean, all I can say is look into my eyes and what do you see? Jonathan, I don't buy Jerry Jones saying he'll be ready by week 3 or by 3 weeks. He's bluffing. Not pretty sure he's going to be at least 5-6 weeks, at least. And if he comes back sooner, he's not going to be playing anywhere near what he should be playing, at least to the caliber. Another thing that I was saying, watch out for the Cowboys to make a trade. We do have Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. That has already been speculated a lot for them to pick him up or at least try to trade. Another Mason Rudolph has been talked about too with the Steelers. I think that we'll definitely hear talks of them trying to trade, but I don't know if they can get a deal done. But hey, guys, Cowboys have been eliminated from the playoffs. It's a win for everybody. And then, of course, we did have the game that happened last night. The Seahawks took Russell Wilson. I mean, like, hey, we got rid of you. You wanted to leave. We gave you to another team, and we beat you. The Seahawks with the 17-16 win. Another kind of fun game. In my thoughts, it's amazing to see how quickly a fan base can turn on somebody because as soon as Russ got on the field, you just started hearing the 12th man boo. And those boos were loud. I definitely think come closer to the end of the season, the Broncos are going to be upset that they lost that game because, as I predicted, it's going to be a very close divisional race, and 1-2 games can be the difference. Of course, Brandon McManus missed the game-winning field goal with like 8-9 seconds left in the game. Missed it wide left, I believe. Had the distance. And then Seattle still had some time left, nailed it. Something interesting that you don't see happen a lot. The Broncos called timeouts during the QB kneels. That you don't see that for a reason. You need to wave the white flag at some points, and they didn't, which I was very confused of because I played center. I've had issues snapping the ball, but on a quarterback kneel, there's not a lot of issues that happen there because all the quarterback has to do is just grab the ball and fall on the ball. So if he loses the ball, he's right there. But I'm also not an NFL coach. So it is also weird that they let time run down and called a timeout when it was like 4th and 4, 4th and 3. They kicked a field goal. Instead, it gave it to Russ. But hey, I'm not Nathaniel Hackett, I believe. Jonathan, yay, our team's having a shot to win the division. False, your team has no shot to win the division, Jonathan. For those who do not know, Jonathan is a Commanders fan because that trophy is going to Philadelphia. The Eagles are going to win the division and win the entire Super Bowl. And then 2 words, time management. 2 words, unsportsman like conduct. I failed math. But you do what you do. You play to win the game. Yeah, I guess they were hoping to get some. I just understood. He was telling the Broncos time management for that last drive. Yes, Jonathan, you are right. They should have had a lot better time management, which you thought Russ would be able to get some time management going. Oh well. But hey, that just means fantasy. How'd you do in your fantasy league? I'm in 4 leagues this year. I won 3. There's one that I had a good week but did not quite get. Hopefully you had a great fantasy week as well. But for that, that's really all I have today. So please, if you like this, click that little thumbs up button. It looks just like this. If you like sports and you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. I'm literally the only person here that talks about sports, but we also have a lot of other cool stuff. A lot more professional than anything I do too. We have Aaron Canoli does movie battlegrounds. That's our movie debate stuff. It's a lot of fun. I might be competing later tonight. I cannot confirm nor deny that. Colton Roberts with the Supernova Show. I looked at the thumbnail and he did talk about Rings of Power. Fun fact, I have not actually been able to watch most of Rings of Power due to Amazon issues, but I'm getting them fixed. So that's okay. And then also be sure to check out our sister channel, TMG Trivia. I run singles and teams. Kevin Poss runs TM Geek. They're also in the middle of a TM Geek Teams tournament. Just to throw it in my face that you can do a tournament in a good amount of time. It's a bold strategy, man. Probably challenge you in a Jack of all trivia match and beat you there. We'll see. But for everyone with TMG, whether it's trivia or entertainment, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Be safe. Make smart choices or don't. I really don't care. Not your dad. But I could be your papa.